Hi, everyone. Welcome to Market Insights. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. I'm Brian Christopher, by the way. But please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and click on the bell if you want to receive updates in the future. We also would appreciate if you leave a comment, as it'll give us insight as to what to talk about next week. This week, I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Ian King. Ian, how are you?
I'm great, Brian. Just really excited for next week's New Era Fortune Summit that I'll be hosting. Did you sign up yet?
No, but thanks for the reminder.
Well, if you want to sign up for the New Era Fortune Summit, click the link below. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to be talking about small caps and forward-looking innovative companies that are really leading the way in the 2020s, which is going to be a really exciting decade given all this convergence of technology and all the transformation we're seeing currently happening.
That's exactly right. And that's what we need to talk about today, because, when I think about it, I have my friends who, upgrade their iPhone literally every model. And I don't know if they think about how much growth in innovation that they're actually experiencing. I mean, obviously they take some better pictures and that kind of stuff. And I'm not just talking about iPhones, we've got high-speed 5G networks now. We do surgeries using robots, and now we can transact using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. It is really just an amazing time. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I think that these trends are really even starting to accelerate now, because if you think about the big technological developments we've seen over the last 20 years, whether it be, the mobile phone or 5G, which is coming up within the next year, or artificial intelligence or precision medicine, everything is coming about because of a convergence of this technology. It's the first time we've seen a real big convergence of technologies in at least a century. So you have to think back to the 1920s, like what made the 1920s roar? And it really was, you had manufacturing where you're making lots of machines and cheap oil and then electricity everywhere. So the 1920s had an amazing surge in productivity because of all these three technologies came and allowed for, new consumer products at home, such as washing machines and vacuums and automobiles everywhere. And I think in the 2020s, we're going to see something similar. But think about all the machines that we have suddenly becoming intelligent. Now, they're not going to be, winning Jeopardy per se, intelligence, but we have smart devices, right? So everything in your house can communicate to itself. So there's these little increments, these little optimizations that happen that just improve our quality of life. iRobot is a great example of this. It used to take you 30 minutes or 45 minutes a week to vacuum your house. Now you just press a button and the only thing you have to do is change it at the end of it, right? I'm sure you have one of these Roombas at home, right, Brian?
That's right. Our cat loves it.
Yeah. So that is just a small example. I think self-driving cars is probably going to be the biggest development in the 2020s. And it comes about as a convergence of 5G, machine learning, which is also artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things, because you have to have sensors all over the cars to make it sense like a real human. And so the reason why self-driving cars are going to be so transformational is because all those little trips that you would have to make, maybe dropping your kids off at soccer practice or picking them up from school, or perhaps somebody had to drive to the airport, you don't need the human labor anymore. And this goes across all kinds of industries, because we'll be farming with automated tractors, we'll be mining with automated machines. They're even talking about these automated machines on the moon now, which is more important because the radio signal takes 2 seconds. You can't drive something remotely on the moon. You need something that can sense whether or not it's going to fall off a cliff or soon. So it's just a really exciting time to be alive, Brian. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, no doubt. And actually consistent with that, we're seeing a change in spending by businesses these days. I noted some numbers recently that showed that the increase in digital spending that companies are doing is now even greater than physical improvements that they need to make. And this is the new normal, right?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, because coronavirus was imagine this. So when you think of coronavirus, think about it like this. Let's say you get sick and you went to the hospital. Now, you didn't have coronavirus, you had some type of curable disease, and you went to the hospital and they over medicated you. And this is basically what the economy looks like right now, because the patient has been over medicated. And what it's done is given businesses enough cash to pull forward a lot of their innovations a few years, if not decades. And so think about everything you do now, whether if you want to go to a restaurant and order food, you can do it on a mobile app right now. You can order, things from Target and Walmart on an app. They deliver it right to your door. But businesses are spending more on their digital services than their physical investments. And that also comes into work from home. Every business, if they have employees work from home, they save an average of $11,000 a year. That's significant savings among businesses. And it comes down to the fact that we're just going to be doing more with less in the future. And that's why it is a great time to be a stock investor, because as stock investors, when we see businesses that are able to do more with less, it means they're going to be more productive. It also means they're going to be more profitable. So that is another reason why all these developments and technologies that are being pulled forward by a decade are helping out the bottom line of businesses, because their costs are going down because they're investing more in digital and less in physical.
And is there like a particular group of businesses that people should focus on that are going to do better than others over the coming few years?
That's a great question. Well, obviously, you've seen the cloud stocks and big cap tech already move up. And if you look at, the price of forward earnings of Apple and Microsoft, it's trading at like a 5-year high. I think that if you look more in the small cap space, which has been left behind. Now, one of the reasons why small cap has been left behind is because when investors are worried that a recession is imminent, as we have been for most of the year because of coronavirus, the small caps lag the market, right? They underperform because they're the ones that have less cash on their balance sheets. Right. So if they hit a recession, they've got to sell more stock to raise capital to continue their businesses. And that's what investors were kind of looking at the picture. But I think that once we get past coronavirus at some point, whether it be the first half or the second half of next year, you're going to see an acceleration in companies' earnings like we haven't seen, especially because they're coming from a really low baseline since the financial crisis in 2009, 2010. And if you bought small caps back then, you looked at a 95% gain from 2009 to the end of 2010. So just in a short period of time, just owning small cap stocks, you greatly outperformed the overall market, because everyone looked at small caps like, they weren't going to make it because the economy was in recession. But I think next year is going to be one of the biggest economic recoveries we've ever seen in the history of this country, because of all this pent up demand, because so many people have been sitting at home for months and months and months with lots of capital because of the fiscal stimulus programs we're having, low interest rates. You can get a mortgage right now for 2.75%. Everybody's refinancing, and everyone has cash to spend. And so that is just going to translate into economic growth next year, because we all feel, severely repressed because we haven't been able to go to the movies lately or, to the restaurants that we want to eat at. So that's why I'm particularly bullish on the economy next year, and also small caps in general.
Yeah, I went back and looked at some numbers, and even though large caps have outperformed small caps recently, small caps have outperformed large caps in 23 of the last 42 years. That's 55%, but large caps have outperformed in 6 of the past 7 years. So it's really that's where you can go to get thousands of percent type returns, as compared to let's be honest, in Google, maybe you'll double your money. Right? Maybe you'll triple your money if you're lucky. But that's where we can go to get like amazing returns. So thank you for this insight, Ian. And,
right. The overall market, I would say the overall market has been dominated by these FANG stocks, and they're 25% of the S&P 500 right now. And the good news for smaller caps is eventually investors start to take profits in these larger cap stocks, and then they want to look to reinvest them somewhere in a cheaper part of the market. And I think that's another argument for small cap investing. But, next week, sign up for the webinar and you can learn all about it. So
that's right. And also, so there's a link at the bottom at this in the YouTube description. Also, the website is newerafortunesummit.com. And I'm looking forward to it. I gotta get signed up right now. Ian, thank you.
Oh, always great to see you, Brian. Have a good one.
All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. We're living in amazing times. Check out Ian's presentation next week to learn how to make some money from these amazing times. Talk to you later.